Hello and welcome back to the Dugout podcast. This is episode number 79. We are joining you. Well, we're recording this late on a Sunday evening. Hopefully, you'll be tuning in right away to watch us on Monday morning when it's released after another weekend of SPFL action to go over. Some big talking points this weekend, some controversial decisions to go over in a few games. Obviously, it's excuse me, I lost my train of thought right at the start of the video. By the way, this is it's 20 to 11 as we're recording this, so apologies if I do that throughout the video. But yeah, obviously, loads of big talking points. Martin O'Neill's back in the Celtic dugout. Rangers with a double header against Aberdeen. Controversial ref decisions to go over again. It wouldn't be a weekend in the SPFL without any of that. And I'm of course joined by my co-host Ethan Barlow. Ethan, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. It was another entertaining weekend of Scottish Premiership action, and as you said, there was almost a contentious decision in probably every game, and we'll go over or try to go over all of them and give our thoughts on the games as well. But yeah, again, a really exciting weekend. I don't think we've recorded an episode since Neil McCann was confirmed as the new Kilmarnock manager. He obviously got off to an okay start, not the best, not the worst, and we'll talk about that as well. But how's yourself, Alex?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm a bit tired. You like because you're more of a night person than I am. You're usually up late watching the NBA games, but I'm usually in my bed like 11:30 max. So yeah, apologies if I do start flagging during this recording. But up top, I just want to say a massive thank you. The last two videos, by our standards, have received um, quite a lot of views. So really, really appreciate everyone who's tuning in to watch us. And we hope you keep coming back. So first of all, we'll start with I think we'll kick off with the double header, Rangers versus Aberdeen. Obviously, there was a game at Ibrox on Tuesday night. Rangers got the 2-0 win, two goals from corners from Manny Fernandez and Nicholas Raskin. Rangers were the better team throughout the majority of the game. Aberdeen had a couple of chances, but I thought Rangers controlled it really well. And I think you can see week on week, Rangers are improving performance wise. Certain players are improving. Although off the back of that game, two very bad injury blows for Rangers. A man who I have been in love with this season, Connor Barron, who was excellent again, could be out for 2 to 3 months with a knee injury, and Dujon Sterling is out injured. Surprise, surprise, with a hamstring issue. So yeah, those are probably the main points from that game on Tuesday, Ethan. But yeah, I think it was a decent Rangers side on sort of on the come up, you could say, coming up against a really poor Aberdeen side.
Yeah, off the back of the Derby win, Rangers wanted to avoid the potential banana skin of Aberdeen coming to Ibrox, and I don't think many people really expected Peter leaving to take his interim charge of Aberdeen and take his team to Ibrox and get a result. But yeah, they had created chances, Aberdeen, but as you said, I think Rangers were pretty comfortable throughout the 90 minutes and got those two first half goals from the corners. I think both of them delivered by Connor Barron.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think
By
yeah,
the
he'll be a massive blow for Rangers.
I just want to say as well, signing of the season is Scott Fry, uh, Rangers set piece coach, because not only are Rangers scoring now from set pieces, but they actually, Ethan, every time they go up, I'm excited. Every time we get a corner, I'm getting like, oh, maybe we can score. When before, it was hopeless, and they look dangerous even if they don't score. There's near misses from nearly every set piece, and obviously we'll get onto it in the repeat fixture. Because well, it happened again. Um, and they scored from another set piece. That's one of the controversial decisions that we're going to talk about. But yeah, Scott Fry's, you can clearly see an impact.
Yeah, certainly. And that's it. That was maybe one of the biggest surprises I think from the Derby game last weekend was that Rangers didn't manage to score a set piece goal against Celtic because obviously Wilfred Nancy's team had earned a reputation for being so poor at defending them through his short stint in charge. But yeah, Rangers look a threat, and you expect them to score a set piece goal at almost every set piece they have, and that's an excellent trait for a team to have, especially when you've got Emmanuel Fernandez. The guy is. I think we heard about how good he was in both boxes, especially on the offensive end, but I don't think anybody could have seen this coming. And yeah, he's nearly Rangers' top scorer this season, and I wouldn't be surprised if he continues on this trajectory because Rangers are finding him and he's putting them in the net.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a real threat. 6'5", and yeah, he's. I might have said this before, but I think it was a Hibs game a few weeks ago when he scored actually, and he was like standing next to Nasser Giga and Yusuf Chermiti, and I was like right down close, like you could see them celebrating. And obviously Nasser Giga and Yusuf Chermiti are tall, but next to next to Emmanuel Fernandez, they looked they just looked like regular height. It was mad because I think Chermiti's like 6'1" or 6'2". Giga's similar, but yeah, he absolutely dwarfed them. And when you've got that height to aim for, um, it's imperative you have the good deliveries and the good sort of tactics from set pieces. And Rangers are seeming to do that. They're catching up on Hearts now. I think Hearts are the. I think it might be corners, it might be set pieces, but they're the highest scoring team from either one of those in the league. They've scored 12. Rangers are now up to 11 after the game today. And Rangers did repeat that feat with a 2-0 win at Pittodrie. And yeah, this was another sort of pleasing performance. Aberdeen did come out early. You always expect them to have a goal, especially Rangers at Pittodrie. Rangers hadn't won in their last 4 games, I believe, up there. So despite the poor form Aberdeen are in, they're always gonna have a goal and have confidence coming up against Rangers at Pittodrie. But despite some early flurries, a Leighton Clarkson effort saved by Jack Butland, they didn't really threaten at all, and Rangers started to take control in difficult conditions. Obviously, it wasn't like free flowing football. It was very hard to play that like that in conditions like that. But Rangers were good. They controlled the game, and they did get the opening goal from a corner. This time it was a nicely worked one. Tavernier, Magoma, Tavernier working it to Magoma. Magoma gets the cross in. Nice flat ball just in front of the fence, and Taylor Arsgaard's there to put it away for a nice finish.
Yeah, and more terrible defending, I've got to say, from Aberdeen. And the thing that comes to mind when you speak about Aberdeen and across these 2 games, a lot of the talk was from the first game. I think Peter Leven said it in his pre-match conference today, or his pre-match interview rather, that they created a lot of chances at Ibrox and really should have scored at least one goal. And I would maybe tend to agree in that the finishing wasn't there, but I think and a lot of people, including himself, were saying that it'd be a different game at Pittodrie and Aberdeen would make it more difficult for Rangers. But I think if you look at the match, I think Rangers maybe found it even more easy going to Pittodrie, which is after that storm they had to weather at the start of the game. They get the goal, then obviously they get the second, which we'll get on to that gets ruled out. But yeah, really poor, but a really good finish from Asgard, and he's making that habit. And I think everybody in Scottish football, Rangers fans the most, and probably Danny Rowe more than anyone, know that Taylor Asgard's a player with a lot of qualities that can be a big tool to Rangers. He just needs to really find his feet on a consistent basis.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see there's a player there. There's moments like this here. It's a really nice finish from him. He's sort of running away from goal, and he manages to put it back into the net. Goalkeeper no chance, and yeah, he's one that I really want to see more from this season. But Aberdeen. Um, like you said, though, Ethan, poor defender again. Uh, from a set piece. And you don't need to just look at the Rangers games. I mean, just look at Philip Lisser's goal against them for Falkirk as well a couple of weeks or a week ago there. See, all these midweek fixtures are messing with my mind. But yeah, Philip Lisser's goal for Falkirk against them, really poor defending there, and they're dropping runners. But you could see I think Rangers were actually playing for set pieces a lot of the time in this game. They did play some nice football, but they were, slowing it down at every opportunity. Um, I mean, I think 3 minutes get added on in the first half, basically for the VAR check partly, but also for Rangers taking ages to take free kicks, throw-ins, corners, and they were just trying to slow the game down and keep it under control. Rangers did get their second. I think it was around the 28-minute mark through Emmanuel Fernandez. A deep free kick from James Tavernier sort of hoisted into the 18-yard box, and Emmanuel Fernandez jumps, beats Dimitar Mitov, and sort of, puts it over him. I mean, it's not really a dink, but I don't know what other way to say it. But he heads it over him. It goes in. Rangers are 2-0 up. However, a VAR check rules out the goal for contact on Dimitar Mitov. I mean, I know goalkeepers are protected, but come on.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think it is a really soft one. I think David Tarmitov gets away with some weak goalkeeping, and that was the same for the second goal at Ibrox as well. It was really weak goalkeeping, and that time he obviously didn't get away with it. This time he did, and yeah, Emmanuel Fernandez, I think I won't say robbed because I can see why the referees have came to that decision, but it's one that you just don't like. As a football fan, you want to see more goals, and Emmanuel Fernandez does really well to get up above Mitov and head it in. And it was a really good moment for him as well because following the Rangers getting their first goal, when a few Aberdeen fans threw some missiles onto the pitch, he was struck by one. He was okay, obviously, but that was a really nice moment for him to celebrate and get one over the Aberdeen fans after that. But obviously, it wasn't the case. But luckily, this decision became immaterial in the end when Rangers get their second goal.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, excuse me. But no, yeah, but I just want to talk about that for a wee bit longer before we move on. I just don't. I said to you before, Fernandez is already occupying the space. He out jumps Mitov. Mitov moves into that space. If anything, he makes contact with Fernandez. You know, and obviously we'll never know this. We can go through hypotheticals. I don't think he's getting there anyway, even if he doesn't hit his arm. I don't think he's getting anywhere near it. His head was like a full head's length above Mitov's arms. Yeah, So I don't think he's getting anywhere near it. And I agree with you. I can see why it was given, but it's just one of those frustrating things. But
It does though set a dangerous precedent, I think, for goalkeepers because you could say that Dimitar Mitov just ran towards the ball, realised that Fernandez is getting it, jumped a little bit into Fernandez, and then went down and he's got a foul. Obviously, you can see why he's given it, but yeah, I think the goalkeepers have got to be a lot more strong. And yeah, again, really poor defending from Aberdeen on a goalkeeping level and defensive level. And yeah, they're just a really weak team at the minute, Aberdeen, and that whole incident summed it all up. And Rangers are using the set pieces to their strength, as you said. And you look at the team who's top the Premier League at the minute and big favourites to win the Premier League. Arsenal use set pieces to their advantage. I liken Gabriel a little bit to Emmanuel Fernandez, not on the quality of the defender, but in the same terms, he's
yeah,
that.
Gabriel isn't on the quality of Emmanuel Fernandez. He's not on the same level. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
No, but no, I understand what you're saying, and well, you just need to look at the Scottish Premiership league leaders, how well they utilise set pieces as well. So it's
Yep.
becoming a common thing across world football this season. Corners, long throws have made a big comeback as well. But you're Rory Delap's absolutely delighted watching watching everyone utilise what was his best tool. It's crazy to say about a footballer, isn't it? The thing they're best known for was that long throw that everyone was more afraid of than coming up against the corner. I'm pretty sure a goalkeeper actually purposefully put it out for a corner once, so a Rory Delap long throw wouldn't be
Yeah, he
coming in.
did.
But yeah, um, yeah, it's becoming more commonplace in the modern game. You still see nice football as well. It's that, and people were sort of complaining about how football's become too sort of tactical. There's not really any individuality anymore. It's like robots coming up against each other. I think we're seeing an evolution of that where there's still that element there, but we're seeing more sort of things being brought in, implemented, and I think it does make for a more entertaining game because we do love a good goal from a set piece or a long throw or whatever, and yeah, but what
Yeah.
I'll stop rambling.
Sorry, I was just going to say on that last point. I think it was Arsenal I seen had just hired some coach that it was like a throw-in coach, I think it was, and he was at Liverpool, and he doubled the length of Andrew Robertson's throw-ins, which is just ridiculous. It's
Wow.
the fine margins that go into sports nowadays and football especially, and yeah, as you said, it is becoming even more tactical with stuff like that, and
Yeah.
teams going into the
Imagine
most minute detail for throw-ins and corners.
imagine he'd worked with Rory Delap. He'd be sending it out the stadium. Oh
Rory Delap would probably be working for him.
no, but I think I've heard the story about that actually. If we're gonna go off for a little tangent here, I think Tony Pulis told it on a podcast. They were just having like a throw-in competition or something. Um, and then one of his coaches went, "Have you seen Rory's throw-in?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, you know, rocketing this thing into the box flat, and and he's like, how long have you been able to do that? How can you throw it? And he's like, well, I did javelin when I was in high school. So yeah, so I just a funny story there about obviously probably the best throw in we've ever seen. I mean, you've got Roberto Carlos, king of free kicks, Rory Delap, king of long throws. So yeah, but yeah, I'll digress. I'll stop.
James Tavernier, king of penalties.
Nice segue there into Rangers' second goal. Some really nice work on the left hand side from Diego Gassama, twisting and turning. He gets away from one Aberdeen defender, Graham Shinney, tries to come in to tackle him, stop him in his tracks. He sort of shin to shin, knee to knee contact. Gassama goes down somewhat theatrically, but it is a stonewall penalty. Have you got any complaints here, Ethan?
No, I think they got this one right. I can see why they gave it, and I don't think Graham Shinney really has a foot to stand on, or a leg to stand on, rather, with this one. Yeah, clear penalty. And obviously, well dispatched from James Tavernier.
Yeah. I think me and my dad were watching it, and we were thinking, oh, obviously we saw it was given, and then we saw Graham Shinney not like appealing the decision, and we are going, oh, that you can look at a player's reaction and sort of gauge whether it's a penalty or not, or whether it's a foul or not by their reaction. And Graham Shinney wasn't protesting, and it is well dispatched by James Tavernier. A really, really good penalty. Um, if we've been bashing Mitov quite a lot, but he goes the right way, and I think he gets about as close as you could to what is a perfect penalty.
Yeah, there's some penalties you just can't save, and that's why James Tavernier's earned such a reputation as such a great penalty taker and one of the probably best in Scottish football of all time because he obviously must practice them a lot, and when they do come his way, he usually makes no mistake. He's only had, I think, a couple this season in the league, so a little bit lower than maybe he's used to, but he's still ready to take them when needed. And obviously, I remember that he scored one in the League Cup semi as well against Celtic. So yeah, he's very reliable from the spot, and he's probably one of the most probably got one of the best records for footballers across the world because even your Messi's and Ronaldo's miss a lot of penalties, and James Tavernier, I imagine, is probably got a similar record in terms of percentage, not in terms of penalties taken and scored, because I imagine the guys are in their own league.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, Tavernier's penalty record was is really really good. I think that was actually his 138th Rangers goal. I think just under half of those have been penalties. So maybe in the 60s or something that he's that he's dispatched from the spot. Also, it's mad to think about as well. 138 goals. I know a lot of them were penalties, but a lot of them weren't either. And we've talked, Tavernier's sort of he's on the downturn now. His contract's out at the end of the season. This potentially could be his last season for Rangers. I think we just take a moment to appreciate how good he's been. But I think that'll do it for the Rangers games plural. Really really good back to back wins for Rangers. Uh, since we've started this way, we've jumped from Tuesday to the last game on Sunday. I'll reverse. We'll go in reverse order, I think, and we'll go to the first game on the Sunday. Ethan, Hearts travelled to Dens to play Dundee, and what was a game fraught with controversy. Hearts' first goal, a free kick, is given in their first and only goal of the game. A free kick is given in their own half for a foul on Cammy Devlin. Cammy Devlin, takes it very quickly. Ball is moved on really quickly, and Claudio Braga puts it away for 1-0. The Dundee players fuming. They weren't ready. They think the ball was played further on than it should have been. The ref just let the game flow, which I can understand why the Dundee players are irritated with this, but this is the kind of thing we get annoyed for refs about, like the ones that maybe someone takes a quick free kick, someone could be on the break, and the ref goes, "Oh, hold on a minute here, get back, I'm still talking," or something like that. So it's an interesting one because you can understand both sides of it.
Yeah, yeah, certainly can. And I think it was Ryan Lee, the referee, who obviously went to the foul was given. Devlin takes it quick. Dundee aren't expecting it. They leave Lawrence Shankland in way too much space for a player like Lawrence Shankland to have. He turns and plays a pretty easy pass by his standards to his strike partner, and it's a really, really good goal from Claudio Braga, though he's still got a lot to do. He controls it really well because it's slightly behind him, and then he takes it and he hits it in off the far post. There's nothing John McCracken can do about it, and it's an absolutely excellent finish. And yeah, really harsh on Dundee though, because as you said, they were not expecting it to come that quickly. But you've got to, what could you say? You've got to play to the whistle. I think you could, but then again, as a really tough one for Dundee to take. That's the goal that obviously loses them the game, and obviously VAR can't get involved with that kind of stuff either. I think in the future we will, when VAR gets more and more responsibility, because that certainly looks like the way that the FIFA and UEFA rulings are going to go. But at the moment, the VAR officials couldn't get involved with that, and it has to be given as a goal, and a massive goal it could be for Hearts when we come to the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still entertaining that sort of daylight rule, aren't they? They changed to the offside rule, where you would need to be sort of your whole body ahead of the defender for you to be offside.
Yeah, that would be a. I don't think the defensive players would be very happy with that at all, but because that would be an absolute nightmare. But Yeah, that has been an idea that I think's been floated for years now, and yeah, we always see rules changing, and we think rules that will never ever change will change, and then they do, and everybody forgets they've even changed. Remember when two people used to be taking a kick off right at the centre spot? That's obviously a thing of the past that you very rarely see nowadays, and that's just become a natural thing within football. And there's so many other rules like that, goal kicks, being able to play it to a player inside the box, stuff like that. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see changes to the offside rule because I think it is one of the rules that's probably flawed the most. Nowhere near the handball rule, I will say, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think one of the maddest ones for me that always sticks in my mind, it was when Roberto Firmino was ruled out. I think it was one of some of the early days of VAR in the Premier League. He was ruled offside by his armpit, and you're thinking, how is that giving the attacker an advantage? But I think potentially this rule change is too far in the other direction. It's
Yeah.
a really difficult thing to navigate. But anyway, speaking of offside, Tony Yogain was ruled out offside when Dundee broke and Alexander Schwallow brought him down, denying a clear goal scoring opportunity. Some reprieve for the goalkeeper, but it was only temporary as VAR went and reviewed it, found out that Yogain was in fact onside, and Alexander Schwallow was sent off for probably one of the funniest red cards I think I've seen. He's just pure scrambling, trying to get in front, and obviously he brings the striker down, deliberately denying a clear goal scoring opportunity. By the letter of the law, Ethan, it is a red card.
Yeah, I think it is. It's one that I don't know. I feel sorry for Swallow, but at the end of the day, he brings the Dundee attacker you getting down, and it's also outside the box, which is a big thing as well. So even if he's trying to make an attempt for the ball because of the double jeopardy rule, I think it probably increases his chances to get a red card. I know there's Hearts defenders covering behind Swallow, but yeah, the red card I think has to be given probably in that situation. I know the Hearts fans wouldn't have liked it, but it gave Dundee, it maybe balanced the game out after the Dundee feeling hard done by for the first goal, and Dundee had a long period to get an equaliser, and obviously Hearts had to dig in, and it's these type of results which are massive. I think I've seen a few Hearts fans saying this is their feels like their biggest win of the season because of the context of the run Dundee were on. 3 wins in a row, only conceded 1 goal in that time off the high of a derby win, and Hearts had to go there and really grind out a result which I think they would have snapped your hand off, and most teams would have because Dundee are in really good form at them, or were in really good form before obviously they lost this game.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think Dundee can take positives from this game, though. I mean, of course, losing to 10 men when you've got the man advantage for 45 minutes isn't great, but this is the best team in the league this season, and they competed, I would say, for the majority of the match. I think Dundee can take positives. I mean, we've all laughed at Stephen Presley a lot of times this season, but I think you can see he's building something there, and he he outlasted um, 3 Celtic managers. If you count Martin O'Neill's interim, he outlasted Russell Martin. He outlasted Stuart Kettlewell. He outlasted Jimmy Tillene. So he's done very very well. So far this season. Um, so yeah, full credit to Dundee, but they couldn't get the points or a point in the end, largely due to Alexander Swallow's replacement with 43-year-old Craig Gordon showing Kasper Schmeichel how old goalkeepers should be moving. Um, Absolutely brilliant save from the header. I mean, it's not the most. It's a really good header, but it's not like a rocket into the top bins or anything like that, but the way he gets across, and it looks like it. Well, the Dundee fans were already celebrating, and he claws it back. Terrific save from Craig Gordon, Ethan, denying Dundee a point.
Yeah, and I think maybe in the next few episodes we'll have our awards for the season or mid-season, which we'll hand out to some players. And I think if you were having save of the season so far, that would certainly be right up there, probably right at the top of the list. So I don't even know if there's a point in handing out that award. We may as well do it now. The context of the game, how important it was in the it was last minute, I think it was. And yeah, it's an excellent save from Craig Gordon. At his age, to get down and claw out is remarkable. And he's not had much club football at all this season to come out of the cold and make some big saves, especially that one. It'll be crucial to Hearts. And you've seen the reaction of all the players right after it happened, and then following the full time whistle right after it, and Derek McInnes that were also grateful for his contribution. And yeah, what a player to have as your backup goalkeeper, because he brings so much experience and obviously quality as well when he comes in. And yeah, I think he'll certainly be on the plane to Boston first of all with the Scotland squad, and maybe he will start again as he did against Denmark. We'll soon see, but yeah,
Oh,
he's been.
I hope Angus comes back.
You're spoiling his moment, but no, he'll get a decent run in the team now as well. Obviously, with Swallow being out for one game, I think it'll probably be possibly two. I think it'll just be the one though. So yeah, more minutes for Gordon to get in the legs and the arms and well, every part of his body probably when he's at 43 is a remarkable age to still be playing for any player, even a goalkeeper.
Yeah, but see on save of the season there though, I might have someone who's beat him out. What about Casper Schmeichel, that one where he got down for Mikey Moore's shot and he tipped? Oh wait, sorry, he tipped it in his own net. But sorry to all the viewers there. That's just a wee jab at Ethan. I'm not directly going after any of yous, although you can take issue with me if
The
you
thing
want.
is, I knew it was coming straight away because I knew you couldn't have been picking out a good save Casper Schmeichel had made this season. So I
Um,
seen it coming a mile off.
yeah, he's had a catalogue for club and country. I mean, getting dinked by Kerry McLean from the halfway line is a bit is reason enough to hack up the gloves. But you know, Ethan, just quickly before we move on to any other games, do you think have you seen any rumours of Celtic going for a goalkeeper? Do you think they will go for a goalkeeper in the January transfer window?
No, I haven't seen any rumours, and no, I don't think they will go for a goalkeeper. I think they'll just run down Kasper Schmeichel's contract until the end of the season with him as the starting goalkeeper, probably. He started obviously again at the weekend, which we'll get onto, and kept his first clean sheet in a while. So yeah, but yeah, I think it's obviously a situation which needs addressed from a Celtic point of view, but so there's a lot of situations on and off the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And from a Celtic point of view, we'll get on to the Celtic versus Dundee United game next. Martin O'Neill made his return to Celtic Park for the second time this season. His third stint in charge now as Celtic manager, and Celtic were back with a bang, back to a familiar formation, and it paid dividends. Really a convincing win. I mean, Dundee United were strong defensively for a period of the game, but Celtic eventually did break them down. The first coming through Yang, who is having the season of his life. A nice finish from the winger, just across the box from sort of the right hand side of the 18-yard box. I couldn't tell on the highlights, but it looked like it maybe took a little nick on the way through, or whether it just evaded everyone. I honestly couldn't tell, but
Yeah.
either way, it was a nice finish from him. Celtic got their second, and this is for me is probably the pick of the bunch. A really nicely worked goal down the left hand side. Kieran Tierney cutting it back. Arne Engels running onto it. Sort of takes it in his stride. A nice finish from him. Is it? Oh gosh, I'm so tired. Is it Negrin next, or is it Maeda?
Yeah, Negrin's the third goal. Yeah,
Yeah, Benjamin
Negrin's the third goal.
Benjamin Negrin grabbed the third goal for Celtic. The ball sort of breaks them in a favourable position, just sort of around the 6 yard box. He does really well though to take his time and not snatch at it because there are players and the goalkeeper in the way, and he sort of just lifts it, blasting it into the net for 3-0 to Celtic. And then Daizen Maeda following up off of a shot for 4-0, although he didn't look too pleased with that. Maybe it's due to the talk during the week. Martin O'Neill letting slip that he nearly joined Wolfsburg in the summer. I mean,
Well, he'll be glad. He'll be glad he didn't join Wolfsburg. Have you seen their score today?
yeah, Bayern Munich 8, Wolfsburg 1. Or maybe Maeda would have affected that. Maybe they would have won if he was there. But yeah, Rangers have actually been linked with a Wolfsburg player. Maybe he's trying to get out after that, Andreas Skov. But yeah, Celtic looked pretty good, Ethan. There is a contentious decision to talk about in this game that you were rage baiting me about in the group chat, but I guess but before we dive into that, I just want to talk about sort of the 1 week turnaround from Nancy Ball to Martin O'Neill. Surprise, surprise, when you play players in positions that the squad's been built for, they're actually all right.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. And yeah, Martin O'Neill's pretty much come in and continued where he left off in his first spell of the season, obviously second in total. I think he started his first, well, he did actually start his first, not his first spell, his first spell of the season with a 4-0 win over Dundee. He starts this one with a 4-0 win over Dundee United. And it was night and day, really, between the performances we've seen recently under Wilfred Nancy. We've obviously seen good parts in that, but it was a more of a complete 90-minute performance from Celtic. There wasn't a drop off in the second half or anything like that. Celtic started the game well. They had a little bit of struggle breaking Dundee United down, as you said, but after they got the first goal, which was well worked, I think it had over 30 passes in it when Liam Scales found Yang on the edge of the box. Both players were on the edge of the box and found each other, despite Dundee United having all 11 men within around 20 yards of their goal. Dundee United defended really poorly, and Jim Goodwin will be disappointed with all of the goals, I think. But yeah, as you said, back to the back four. Liam Scales returned and he played well, but I think the whole Celtic team really played well. The one player I would say was maybe not at his best or had the greatest game was Rio Hatate. He wasn't bad or anything, he just wasn't great.
He's been a bit of a
Julian
lull
Araujo.
for the majority of the season, Rio Hatate. He just looks
Yeah, he
like
has been.
I I do this all the time, and I draw comparisons, and players in the past that were really really good, like for Rangers. And I think it was towards the end of their sort of careers at Rangers where you see maybe um they're not playing as well as they're not bad, but they're not living up to what they can be. And then shortly after that they departed the club for what they believe to be um, bigger and better things, for their football career. Do you think that's the case with Rio Hatate? Jing, he's got one eye on the door. Obviously,
Yeah,
it's difficult. Obviously, maybe clubs wouldn't be looking at him so much based off his performances this season. But do you think he wants his exit?
yeah, I think maybe he does. I think that's something that you can't blame a player for. I think he's came to Celtic and served well, but ultimately a lot of people see clubs like Celtic and Rangers as stepping stones to go into bigger things and bigger leagues. And I don't know if that window for Rio Hatate to move to maybe a top five league has passed. As you said, his performances this season haven't been good for most of the season. He's been very inconsistent. And yeah, we know on his day he's a quality player and probably one of the best in Scotland, but we've very rarely seen that, if at all, this season. And I don't think he'll maybe start the next game. I think it might be Benjamin Negrin who comes in, but obviously we're not sure. But Julian Araujo made his full debut. We obviously seen a short cameo against Rangers. He started and was pretty solid at right back. I would say an upgrade on Anthony Ralston, but obviously, as you mentioned, there was a quite contentious challenge from him, which I think he certainly got away with because it pretty much ticks all the boxes for a red card. I would say he's late, it's out of
I
control,
couldn't I couldn't
excessive
believe I couldn't
forwards.
believe it when I saw that. I'm like, that's like one of the most red cards I've ever seen in my life. How has he got away with that? He's nowhere near the ball, like you said. He's out of control. Studs up into sort of the shin area. I don't know how he's got away with that.
Yeah, exactly that. And I don't know if it was maybe uh, Walsh being a wee bit nice to him. It's his debut. We'll let him away with that one. But yeah, between Nick Walsh, obviously fair enough. He maybe didn't see it that way in first glance, but I think the VAR team probably should have got involved and redirected Nick Walsh to the monitor. But obviously they didn't. It might have made an impact in the game, but Dundee United really struggled to create anything. I think Celtic had 86% possession in the first half. Maybe it was 84 actually in the first half, and then in the second half, Dundee United had a little bit more of the ball, but they didn't even have a shot. So it was pretty much utter dominance from Celtic. But obviously, a red card could have changed that, and I think it should have been one. But yeah, he was an improvement on Anthony Ralston certainly, and interesting that Kobe Donovan actually came on to replace Araujo. We've been hearing that we've obviously seen he's not played a lot of minutes recently for Bournemouth, so he won't be able to play a full 90 minutes at the minute. Kobe Donovan comes on instead of Anthony Ralston, which may be interesting, but I think it maybe just getting Kobe Donovan up to scratch because he's not played a lot recently, not one of Wilfred Nancy's favourites, dare I say, but yeah, maybe one of Wilfred Nancy's favourites that even Wilfred Nancy played when he wasn't great before he did eventually go to AFCON with Sebastian Tenetke, and I think he performed one of his best Celtic games yet. I thought he was excellent. He didn't get man of the match in the ground. It was actually Yang who got it. Fair enough, he scored the goal, but Tenetke was back to the form that he showed right at the start of his Celtic stint, and probably got a lot of the Celtic fans really excited for what he has to offer. I will say his end product needs to be better, but I think that's probably why he's at Celtic, isn't it? Not a better club, and you've got the dribbling ability that he has shown at times.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when we were sort of analysing him before he came in, we were looking at his goals and assists statistics. I think you might have said, oh, it doesn't exactly stand out to me. But you can sort of see the impact that he has outside of that. Um, we've seen players like that before that maybe don't actually have the best goals and assist records, but they do have impacts on games, and Sebastian Tenetke certainly does that. But yeah,
Yeah,
really good from Celtic to sort of. I think the fans needed that a lot. The players certainly needed it. Martin O'Neill sort of brought a feel good factor. I mean, obviously, I think there's still residual toxicity in Celtic. The first sign of adversity, the fans will turn again. But for the time being, Martin O'Neill's put a platform there that they can grow, and in this what is now, I think, a three-way title fight. I think it's starting to shake out that way. I mean, the other two you could have considered drop points against each other. So I think I wouldn't rule them out yet, but I think they will drift, and I think it will
yeah.
be the three sort of the Hearts, Rangers, and Celtic right down to the wire. And Martin O'Neill's put the platform there for a growing feeling of positivity in the club and potentially another league title.
Yeah, exactly that. And you mentioned the two teams, which I'm sure we'll get on to just behind the three that we've expected to be challengers. Well, I think people ruled Rangers out at the start, to be fair, but obviously Danny Rowe, with the success he's brought, has brought them back into the conversation. And I think we know that Hearts are going to throw everything at it with the opportunity they have and the financial backing that's there. I think we've seen on the rumours and Rangers already getting business done, that they're going to throw everything at it. Whether Celtic will is obviously up for contention, I will say. But I think if Celtic don't, then they leave themselves really short and give Martin O'Neill and his staff a really uphill battle, because it's a thin squad at the minute, and I know they came out on top pretty easily against Dundee United, but the games against those four teams in and around them in the top five will be really difficult games, home or away, as we've seen for pretty much all the teams within that this season. So yeah, they'll need to step up Celtic again. And but he's got players playing in the right position. He's got players confident. I think another player who's possibly maybe been Celtic's best player, I'll say, this season, and he didn't have the best of starts. And I'm really happy that he has sort of made the turnaround. Kieran Tierney, I thought he was really solid again. Obviously, got the assist for the second goal. Arne Engels, 7 assists for him this season, 10th goal contribution in 30 appearances. I think even saying that itself, Kieran Tierney making 30 appearances by the halfway through January is a really good thing for him, because obviously there was doubts over his fitness, but he looks really healthy. And another stat that I've seen is with players that have played over 1,000 minutes in the Scottish Premiership this season, the only players to create more chances per 90 minutes than Kieran Tierney. There's 4 players. Do you want to try and guess them before I tell you them?
Are they really obscure?
No, no, they're all really. When I tell you them, you probably expect them. They're all 4 from different teams. Well, one of them's a Celtic. I'll give you the teams. One of
No,
them's
no,
Celtic.
wait,
One
no,
of
wait,
them's
wait, wait,
Heart.
wait, wait a minute, wait. I didn't hear that.
Okay, okay, okay.
Um, Kizridis.
Yes, yes, he's one of them.
So it's Tierney and 4 other guys. Okay.
Yeah, Kasudis is one of them.
Benjamin Nigren.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Ah, so Kizridis, Nigren, Tierney, and it's 2 other teams. Okay.
Yeah.
Elliot Watt.
No, not
Ah,
quite.
okay. Elijah Just.
No.
Oh, he was injured for a bit. Um, hmm. Uh, right. Okay. I want to ask you what the teams are, but is one of them Motherwell?
No, none of them are Motherwell.
Okay.
You want me to give you the teams? I'll just say no, they're not Motherwell.
No, just I'll just it's not Motherwell.
Okay. They're pretty. When I tell you, you'll go, yeah, that makes sense for both of them.
Jedi Kasama.
No, there is a Rangers player.
I thought that, but I couldn't think who was creating those chances. Tav.
Yes, James Tavernier. Yeah,
Really? He's up there for
yeah,
creation. Okay.
yeah.
And then Josh Mulligan.
No, right team, wrong player.
Martin. No. Martin Boyle. Nah. Uh.
No,
What?
he's like, surely, unless he's like escaping your mind.
Oh, Jamie McGrath.
Yes, yes, that's it. So they're the only players to.
Did you see that clip?
Um,
That clip
what clip?
from that podcast. That guy, he's like, oh, Jamie McGrath's one that's knocking on the door for the Scotland squad.
Ah, yeah, yeah. It was you and Cameron, I think it was, wasn't it?
Jamie
Yeah, I did
McGrath.
see
Jamie McGrath.
that. I
I
think
think,
he certainly would be if he wasn't obviously at Republic of Ireland international. But yeah, he's had an excellent season. Well, most of those, well, pretty much all those players there have. Maybe James Tavernier, you would say, hasn't, because he hasn't uh, played every game or whatever. But showing that he's still a class act. And certainly going forward, I think there's always been doubts about his defensive capabilities, but in terms of creating chances, crossing,
One one
scoring goals,
one thing I will say, the reason I wasn't expecting him to be up there for chance creation is, um, I think he's been because I think his legs are gone slightly. You see him more committed to defensive work. I think he's actually been quite solid defensively in the past couple of seasons, at least. James Tavernier.
yeah. Well, I think he's obviously matured as a player as well as he gets into his sort of later years of his career. He would say he's obviously played some games in the central defence as well. So yeah, I think he's a capable defender, but he's nowhere near as good going backwards as he is forward. But not many right backs are, or full backs in general nowadays, especially when you're scoring the amount of goals that James Tavernier not only from penalties but from open play as well. And the other stat that I was going to say from this match was that Benjamin Negrin, 11 goals now this season for him, despite not always being a starter. He always seems to find himself in the right position, and he did in this. It was fortunate the way it fell to him, but he still had, I would say, quite a lot to do because obviously he's got a lot of defenders there, and Dave Richards, the goalkeeper, closing them down, and he does well to lift into the top of the net. And it doesn't really surprise me, but he has the most expected goals per 90 minutes for any player over a thousand minutes in the Scottish Premiership, alongside Daisen Maeda. So yeah, and I said I think a couple of months back that I wouldn't be surprised if he scored 20 goals for Celtic this season, and it looks like that might be the case because he's already on 11 and we're just over the halfway point. So yeah, he's been a decent pickup for the price Celtic got him for. I've seen some people being a little bit negative of him, and I think he has put in some really poor performances, the one against Roma especially. But I think he's a player that Celtic can use in the future to great effect. But I think that's maybe everything from this game. Really good for Celtic and really poor from Dundee United, but they're still in the run for top six. But I will say another team made some great steps into improving their bid for sixth place this weekend.
Nice segue there, Ethan. We'll move over to the Smiza, where St Mirren hosted Falkirk, and Falkirk got the 2-0 win. Both goals coming in the second half. The first from Finn Yates, and Shamal George has had an absolute stinker, rushing out to try and clear the ball. He's not get there. He's not got there. He's off his line. He's trying to scramble back. No, he's actually trying to block the effort from Yates. Although George isn't in the goal, take nothing away from Finn Yates. This is a terrific finish.
Yeah, exactly that. That's exactly what I thought when I seen it. I thought I think it was around 30 yards it must be he's away from goal, and although Shamar George has come out to deal with the Falkirk attack, he still has a lot to do to get on target and lift it all. Overall, the St Mirren players, a really good goal from him. He's first of the season, and yeah, it was obviously. I don't think the game had really much between the two sides, but a lot of the games this season haven't, and I think it shows the quality of the league that it's really tight, and a lot of the teams there isn't much quality between them, and that makes for a really entertaining league as we've seen. But and then obviously Calvin Miller gets the second goal, which is the sort of nail in the coffin for Stephen Robinson's team.
Yeah, the 1-2 knockout punch. Calvin Miller does get the second goal. And yeah, it is the nail in the coffin for Stephen Robinson's team. I've just realised we haven't really spoke about the league table there, but I will bring it up now. Falkirk 5 points clear of Dundee United with a game in hand on 30 points. Dundee United on 25. Falkirk up into sixth now. St Mirren down in 10th. They do have 2 games in hand on most of the teams around them, as their game against Livingston was postponed last week due to a frozen pitch. But yeah, it's getting worrying for St Mirren, Ethan. It's really really tough. I feel like we speak about it every single week. We speak about them sort of about me talking to the players and them wanting to push on and potentially bring Europe back to the club this season. It's looking like an
Yeah,
unrealistic goal now.
yeah, it is. It certainly is. The top six places are now. Well, they had the chance to close it to. It would have been 6 points if they had beaten Falkirk, and now it's 12 points they're behind Falkirk, and it's a big distance to catch up, and especially when St Mirren haven't been playing well at all in the league this season. They were obviously really good in the League Cup, both in the semi final and final, especially, and obviously to get through the previous round. Sorry, before that. But yeah, it's worrying for the St Mirren fans, and you're thinking, right, well, when are St Mirren going to sort of kick into gear here? Because we're so used to them being in and around the top six fight based off the last 3 seasons. I think we've said it the start about 100 times on here, but the only team out with Celtic and Rangers to be in the top six the last 3 seasons. But 4 wins from 20 games is nowhere near good enough to expect to be anywhere close to those places. And you look at the European places specifically, there's 17 places behind, 17 places, sorry, 17 points behind Hibs, which is a massive deficit, which if I had to say at the moment, I cannot see them clawing back. And a really even worse weekend for them because the two teams below them, which I'm not going to say are going to threaten them yet for the relegation places, but both Kilmarnock and Livingston gain traction on them with the point they shared. So yeah, it is really concerning for St Mirren. And as I said, there wasn't much in the game, but Falkirk were probably the better team in the second half and created enough of those chances. It was a really good finish from Calvin Miller as well. And St Mirren had to wait until the 94th minute to have a shot at home in the second half. They obviously had some shots in the first half, but to go a full 50 minutes with a shot in the second
Yeah.
half at home to Falkirk is really worrying.
I think a lot of complaints that I'm seeing as well from St Mirren supporters and a lot of videos done by our good mate and fellow contributor to the Scottish Football Zone, Robbie Rance, um, or Robbie Collins. Obviously, Robbie Rance on TikTok. Go check him out. He does a lot of very good St Mirren stuff and football stuff as well. But obviously, St Mirren's his team. Anyway, I'll stop rambling about that. But yeah, he talks about the midfield being overrun quite a lot. He's spoken about how much they're missing Mark O'Hara, and I think Stephen Robinson earlier in the season sort of made the claim that they had the best midfield in the league. Certainly not looking that way. Missing Mark O'Hara and the rest. The rest of them seem to be struggling, and a lot of St Mirren fans are seeing it.
Yeah, and obviously they're missing Keanu Bacchus at the moment as well. But Mark O'Hara obviously came back from the injury and then he's injured again. It seems like he's really struggling to sort of get over. I don't know if it's separate injuries. I imagine someone St Mirren fan can inform me. But yeah, he's obviously been their main player for years now, the captain. He's contributed so many goals. The stats of the goals he's scored against Celtic and the number of goals he scored against Celtic and Rangers is a ridiculous one. I don't have the exact number, but I know it's a lot of goals. So yeah, he's a massive player to miss out on, and I think you can see that as really affecting St Mirren. It also probably doesn't help that Stephen Robinson naturally is one of the best managers in the league, is going to be associated with Aberdeen job. I don't really see that one coming to fruition, but still doesn't help, I don't think. And they need to start picking up points in St Mirren because although they've got those two games in hand, one of them's against the Hearts at Tynecastle on Wednesday. I don't see them going there and picking up anything. And then they've got to go to Livingston, and if they drop a defeat at the what's the stadium called? The home of the Set Fair Arena, is it? The Livingston Stadium's called. Then
Spaghetti
then yeah,
hat.
yeah, yeah. Then they sort of bring Livingston into the conversation of being really right close behind them, along with Kilmarnock. So yeah, they've got to start picking up points soon. But brilliant again from Falkirk. What a job John McGlynn's done getting them up the two divisions, and we floated the idea towards the end of last season, and in the close season whether Falkirk could make a push for top six, and it certainly looks like they're going to. They put themselves in a really good position, and yeah, they'll be confident, even though they're playing a high, well, I'll say high flying Celtic team because I would call it a high flying Celtic team even after one game under Martin O'Neill.
Oh, so, sorry, that was bad. I was hoping he was going to keep talking there, but
I seen you kicking up the yawn, and I thought, oh, I'll catch him off guard here. No, I
oh
didn't actually.
God. No, but speaking of Livingston, there we will move on, and we'll travel over to the home of the Set Fair Arena. I've just pulled it up on FotMob for El Plastico. So Livingston versus Kilmarnock, and it was a one each draw, a vintage El Plastico game. The two worst teams in the division going toe to toe. Conor McLaren opened the score in a really nicely worked goal from Livingston from left to right, and a nice finish from him. Also, as well, Brooklyn Kabongolo, we've been told, should have been sent off. And the game he was hauled off after 10 minutes after escaping a second yellow. Uh, we have yet we have not been able to find it, and it is missing from the highlights posted by the BBC on iPlayer. So really sorry we can't talk about that more in depth, but I just thought we'd
Well, in fairness, it might be on the. Did you watch what highlights did you watch? Did you watch the sports scene ones or the ones on YouTube?
I watched the ones that the BBC posted on the iPlayer.
All right,
It wasn't sports scene that I watched, but
all right,
the little condensed ones that they post.
yeah,
I don't know if it would be in the sports scene highlights. We apologise. We've not been able to find it on Twitter or anything like that. But I just thought I'd acknowledge it. So
yeah, and yeah,
pretty.
Neil McCann certainly. But sorry, Neil McCann, obviously the new Kilmarnock manager alongside Billy Dodds. I think the appointment scrutinised a bit or quite a bit by the Kilmarnock fans, but I think some of them had sort of came round to understanding the idea of why he was the manager. He obviously talks really well in Scottish football. He knows his stuff. Whether he can turn that into a successful season and beyond for Kilmarnock is another story. But I think there's certainly potential there, and he certainly made that one of the main points of his post-match press conference. And fair enough. I don't know if I've ever seen a player get tactically taken off after 10 minutes because they're avoiding a second yellow. I think he obviously got the first yellow in the second minute, but I think there was two other challenges that he should have and could have got a second yellow for, which, yeah, I think Levy got off
Oh,
the hook there.
so sounds like this player has just had a complete head loss like early on in the game, and Martindale's went, "Oh God, he's about to get sent off." If he'd left him on maybe for a couple more minutes, Marcus Dacker's equalised in the 70th minute. Nice finish from him. After a wee bit of a sort of scramble. There's been a few of those in recent weeks, sort of just trying to poke it into the net and get there, but he does. However,
I don't
Livingston,
know if you've seen.
what were you going to?
Sorry, sorry, Alex. I was just going to say, I don't know if you've seen obviously one of the, talking about English football briefly, one of the biggest upsets, and if not the biggest upset in FA Cup history was Macclesfield FC knocking out the holders, Crystal Palace. And I think it was the second Macclesfield FC goal. Might go down as one of the worst goals I've ever seen. You need to see it. It was just shambolic. This one was nowhere near as bad as it because Dackers gets a good enough contact. I think was it yeah, it was still Jerome Pryor that was in goals that nearly kept it out. But yeah, there has been some scrambles, and none more so than the sixth division club against the FA Cup holders.
Yeah, that was brilliant to see and what it meant to Macclesfield as well. You love those upsets in football. That's what you live for. In competitions like that, maybe we'll see some of those in the Scottish Cup. Hopefully, not. Hopefully not Annan. So yeah, but I guess we'll see. Obviously, we will be covering the Scottish Cup as well next week. We're still trying to work out a schedule for our sort of mid-season review and award videos, but that'll be coming as well. I think that deserves its own separate video, so we can properly cover the Scottish Cup games. But we talked about refereeing controversy in the Hearts game. We talked about refereeing controversy in the Rangers and Celtic game. Some more refereeing controversy, and it feels like David Martindale was whining every week about this. I can see why, though, because I've seen these given before. Livingston had a penalty claim. It came off the arm of Brad Lyons late on in the game. And Nathan, I'll just come out and say it now. I think Kilmarnock got away with one here. I think Livingston could have got this penalty and potentially come away with the 3 points.
Yeah, well, I will have to say I've not actually seen the said incident, so I'm going to have to go and look at it. Maybe
Right,
as we
okay.
talk about the next games. I've seen the 2 goals, but I didn't see that one. But Brad Lyons had, I think, a similar one against St Mirren. I want to say it was, but at his arm. I don't think that one was anywhere close to being a penalty. But yeah, maybe Kilmarnock got off the hook there, but so did Livingston, probably certainly in the with Kabongolo. So maybe that these things balance them out and balance themselves out in this instance. And yeah, we're maybe the same place as we were when this game started. Both teams still in a terrible run, still a long time without a win for either of them, and they'll be looking to change that in the coming weeks. But I think for Livingston, it obviously shows that they're not by far the worst team in the league, but for Kilmarnock, it also shows that, okay, Livingston aren't that much behind us. And yeah, I think Neil McCann's got a big job on his hands, as does David Martindale, because there is scrutiny coming his way. I know we sometimes say he's got the safest job in Scotland, but I think some Livingston fans are floating the idea of could another manager be doing better with this group of players. And I know Livingston have already been pretty active in the window, so they're backing David Martindale again to try and keep them up and leapfrog Kilmarnock, obviously, because they look like the most realistic team they can drag down at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I've just seen Macclesfield's second goal. Oh my gosh, that's one of the worst goals I've ever seen. But yeah, no, Martindale, he's been back to the hilt again. They've already brought in some new talent in the January window. Scott Arfield, Alex Tam from Olympia Ljubljana, probably a few more as well leading into the window, and free agent signings. Joshua Brennett, former Bundesliga player, long time in the Eredivisie as well for him. So it's Martindale has certainly been given the tools to succeed. So I can understand why maybe some Livingston not Livingston players, Livingston fans are a bit miffed, I guess you could say, with how they've been doing. I just feel like it would be a scenario if you didn't know what you had until it was gone. I feel like Livingston would change their manager and they'd just plummet.
Yeah.
They're not doing too well now, but I think they should dance with the one who brought them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think it's better you're more safe sticking with David Martindale, I would say, and maybe it's not the most exciting thing to do, and you think maybe another manager could get better results with that group of players. But I spoke to, I think it was the other day, I spoke to a Livingston fan, and he was saying that he's quite happy to be for a club of Livingston's size, he's quite happy to be a yo-yo club that's going to go up and down and up and down, and we've seen a lot of teams, one probably very close to your heart, go down and not come back up and still be very lucky to even be a football club in Hamilton Academical. So, yeah, obviously Livingston will need to make sure that they come at the right decision. And I think they will, and I think they'll stick with David Martindale.
Okay, so moving on to the final game of the SPFL, we alluded to it earlier. Teams that perhaps could have been considered for a title challenge. They dropped points against each other. Motherwell won, Hibernian won, Motherwell won at Easter Road. Uh, well, by all accounts from the highlights, seemed like quite an entertaining match. Two sides who have been very good this season, Motherwell especially, but Hibernian appeared to be back on track as well, putting in some good performances. Tawanda Masmanisi opened the scoring. A really nice finish, actually. He gets it out from his feet quickly, sort of fools the defender, catches the goalkeeper off guard, and slots it into the bottom corner, meaning despite his hiatus from after being at the African Cup of Nations, he's now the joint top scorer in the Scottish Premiership with Lawrence Shankland. And I think the way FotMob works it is, depending on how many penalties you've scored, if you've scored less penalties in that time, you are top. So I think Masvanisi has one, Shankland has two. So technically, according to FotMob, Tawanda Maswanisi is the top scorer in the Scottish Premiership. He's been terrific. He was terrific when he came back. He was terrific again. And I think he's a player that, I think because he started so well last season and dropped off, he's somehow flown under the radar for a lot of people, but you can see the quality there. And I wouldn't be surprised if suitors outside the division were looking at him. Maybe even Rangers and Celtic, Hearts as well, obviously up there now, could take a look at him. Although I don't know if he fits into their analytics. We'll see. I mean, Hearts have been linked with some more interesting targets. And now they have a massive Kazakhstan fan base. I don't know if you've seen any of the comments, Ethan, under Hearts posts now, but it's just all Kazakhstan because of Chesnikov. So they've got a massive Kazakhstan fan base now. But anyway, we're talking about Hibs and Motherwell, but yeah, terrific from Tawanda Maswanisi. Another
Yeah,
man.
it was a really.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was just going to jump in and say, yeah, it was. It was a really nice goal, and it's something we maybe not as used to seeing with Motherwell this season as a possession dominant team, third most possession, average possession in the league. But it was a really nice counter attack off of Hibs' attack. They worked it really well. Isaac Just, one of the standouts for Motherwell this season, and then Tamanda Maswanisi does the rest as he has done on a lot of occasions this season for Motherwell. Pretty much picks up where he left off for the Steelmen before obviously heading out to Morocco for AFCON. And yeah, he's probably the standout or one of the standout players in the division at the minute, and a really good goal for him. And crazy to think that Motherwell picked him up for a free when he was released by Leicester City. I think it was Stuart Kettlewell I seen somebody giving credit to the other day, saying he offered him a trial, and look what's happened now. And I think he'll go up against his old manager, if I'm correct, because I believe Motherwell are playing Ross County in the Scottish Cup, which will be an interesting battle. Obviously, Stuart Kettlewell's Ross County won their first game as well against Partick Thistle. So, yeah.
Yeah, Kettlewell looks like he's come in and he's not missed a beat. Coming back to Ross County, I think obviously for me anyway, it was the place where he made his name. And in Scottish football management, I always thought he looked a bit like a grey-haired David De Gea. So yeah, but uh, anyway, another man who's found form recently has been linked with Rangers in the January transfer window. Kieran Bowie equalised for Hibernian, a nice finish from him as well. Ethan, Bowie is one of your favourites, I know. He's and it looks like after a wee dry spell, after a good start to the season, he's found his form again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that, and it's a really well taken striker's goal. I think it was Balazer, I think, that played the cross sort of ball to John Nabita, takes it really well in his stride, and then finds Bowie, kind of gets it stuck under his feet a little bit, but gets it out and lifts it into the roof of the net. And a big goal for Hibs because they wouldn't have wanted to lose any ground on Motherwell, especially at home, because obviously to or look, you would imagine are going to battle out for fourth and fifth. I know it's very early, and I want them to become closer to the other three so we can say it's a five-team title race. But realistically speaking, at the moment, I think they'll be competing for the fourth and fifth place positions. For Motherwell, it's a decent result going to Easter Road and getting a point, unbeaten in 12 of the last 13 now, excluding their defeat at Ibrox. Hibs extend their unbeaten run to 5 games since they were beat by Rangers also. But Motherwell's run defensively has been remarkable. I know they conceded at the weekend, but that's just their second goal in the last 10 matches, which is a goal every 450 minutes or 7.5 hours. But what I would say is a concern for Motherwell is that they've only won 2 of their 11 away games this season, which they'll certainly need to turn into more wins if they're going to be in the same breath as Celtic, Rangers, and Heart of Midlothian. But yeah, it doesn't really help either of the teams. Like Livingston and Kilmarnock, they're trying to chase an uphill battle to catch the rest, in which for both teams you would say has been really good seasons. But yeah, they're 10 points inside the top 6 now, so I don't think I can see either of them really dropping out of that with how well they've played this season, with how big and strong their squads are. Although I will say, I don't know if you've seen the news earlier that Anthony Joseph broke that it looks like Celtic will be recalling Stephen Welsh, who's been a really good pickup for James Bertholascu on loan. He'll be going back to Parkhead by the looks of it. And if rumours are to be correct, some of the rumours that I heard that Rangers have apparently made a bid for Elliot Watt. So, yeah, 2 key players for Motherwell that could be heading out the door this window.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And speaking from a Rangers fan perspective, I probably would welcome Elliot Watt into the into Ibrox, some creativity. I mean, if you told me that a couple of years ago, I'd probably be thinking you're off your rocker. But you know, Elliot Watt's been terrific this season, and I think he would be something. He would bring something to the sort of attacking areas that Rangers do definitely need. Obviously, they've made an addition, sort of, in the defensive midfield. It's 8/6 and Tochi Chukwani. They've been linked with several other players, including, like I said, Kieran Bowie. However, I think it's believed that Hibs are demanding at least 6.5 million for him, which is quite a hefty price tag. But yeah, Motherwell could lose 2 very crucial players. Stephen Welsh has been very, very good, but uh, the, even if they don't bring anyone in, I think I'd have full faith in Jens Bertholascu to make it work without him.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think obviously we've not seen him go through a January transfer window yet, but there's no signs from either of these teams that are going to have a drop off so significant that they even fall to 6th place. Never mind outside the top 6. Top 6 for Motherwell would be an excellent finish. I don't think any of us had them anywhere near those positions. I think I was the most generous of the 3 of us when we done our predictions at the start of the season, and I had them in 7th or something. So it's been an excellent season for both of these teams, and they'll be looking to kick on now into the last part of the season. I was going to say something else. I can't remember quite what it was I was going to say. Hopefully it comes back to me. Oh yes, it was. It was about Allies Adjust. The other day, I can't remember what sort of software it was or what kind of metric it was, but it was a sort of performance index, and it told you how well a certain player had played against a team, and it was players to play against Celtic in the last 5 years or something like that, and it included Real Madrid, Bayern Munich players, and I think Eliza Just was in like the top 6 players' performances against Celtic on his recent performance in the 2-0 win against Celtic, alongside names like Michael Elise and Tony Cruz and Danny Carvajal. So shows how well he's been playing this season, and what a pickup for uh, Motherwell as well, especially to get him from the free agent market on career mode.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he was actually a free agent, was he? He was playing somewhere that's
Oh,
not
he wasn't. He wasn't.
that's not a sort of registered league on FIFA. But yeah, I mean, happy for him that he's playing really well. But yeah, if I'm doing a like a League Two save or something in England, I can't instantly go to the free agents market and pick him up anymore. Unfortunately. Um,
No, well, I don't think I could either because it's not realistic anymore, is it? Him playing in League Two. I think there'll be some Championship teams certainly probably sniffing around him with how well he's played, and yeah, I think it was AC Horsens who are in or actually they're in the second Danish division, and I believe, if I remember correctly, Jens Berflaska worked with him there, so he obviously knew that he was bringing in a really top talent, and he's proved that along with some excellent teammates. And Elliot Watt, I think, would be an excellent addition to Rangers, as you said, and he could play that sitter role that Connor Barron's obviously not going to be playing now that he's out for what is it, 2 to 3 months, I think it is, with that injury that Connor Barron sustained. So
yeah,
he'll be a massive miss.
yeah, definitely, definitely. But I think that'll do it for this week's episode of the Dugout podcast. Sorry if it was slightly incoherent. My eyes are currently shutting as we're finishing it off this podcast. Sorry there was no Spotify episodes last week. Me and Ethan are a bit more technologically inept than our co-host and producer Laurie Finlayson. So, and he was, away on a wonderful European cruise, but he's back this week, and he'll be putting this video up for us. So, thank you to him. Thank you to all you for watching and listening on the YouTube, the Spotify. Make sure to check out the TikTok. There has been loads of movement in January. I found myself having to be a bit more on the ball because I've missed a few things, a few incomings and outgoings in other clubs. So make sure to check out the TikTok. I'm sure Rangers and Celtic Hearts will all be active in the January window. The other clubs as well. Ethan's pulling a face there. I'm sure Celtic will be active in the January window. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to check out the Twitter as well at the Dugout 2024. Thank you and goodbye.